And so let me tell you this story because I think it's really going to help you. And if you do this, you're going to be a better entrepreneur. Hi, my name's Devin. Today I own several multi-million-dollar companies. We started with $5,000 in a credit card. I don't know the easy way. I only know the hard way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, where I give straightforward advice to fuel the entrepreneur in all of us. Today I want to talk about giving yourself the right headspace and time to solve problems. And as a leader, as an entrepreneur, ultimately, problem solving is your responsibility. There are other people in the organization that will help you. There are other people in the organization that might be really good at problem solving, but ultimately it's your job to identify the problems and it's your job to solve the problems. And so you have to get good at this. And I'm going to tell you, it's not easy and you need to give yourself the right headspace. For me personally, when I know I have something that is like, oh, geez, I really need to dig in on this problem, I set aside Saturday mornings, sometimes Sunday mornings, because it's quiet in my house. I have, not a lot of work distractions. I'll answer some emails and then I kind of come up to my office and I'll get a cup of coffee and I'll just spend some time with the whiteboard and just that problem. And oftentimes when I do, that's when I have breakthrough. But you have to have the right headspace and you have to give yourself the right time. And you also have to have the data and you also have to be able to and willing to try to poke holes in your theory. And so let me tell you this story because I think it's really going to help you. During World War II, the RAF, the Royal Air Force, noticed that they were losing a lot of bombers. A lot of bombers were not making it back. And obviously this is terrible, right? The loss of life, loss of their bomber, losing the war. They had to solve this problem. And so they're like, listen, I don't care what it takes. Get all of the best, brightest, and smartest brains in the Royal Air Force, and we're solving this problem. We're getting together, and whatever it takes, we're going to solve the problem. So they got everyone together, and they said, here's the idea. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to gather data. So that's great, right? First off, they got a lot of great and smart people together. So for your organization, when you're going to go solve problems, get a bunch of really smart people in the room. Get, other people that have opinions, that know your company, that know you, that know the shortcomings. Get those people and get them in the room. Second thing they did is they gave themselves time. They got together and they dedicated it to solving this problem. So when you're trying to solve problems, give yourself time where you can just have the headspace to just focus on that. I don't know about you, but I'm an entrepreneur. So any given day, I'm working on 4 or 5 things at once. That's not so great when you're trying to do problem solving. Problem solving, you need the headspace and the time, right? So they gave themselves the time. They also said, you know what? Let's capture data, right? And so a lot of times when we solve problems, we just want to shoot from the hip and knee jerk and just come up with the first thing that comes out of our mouth or the first idea that comes to our head and go, great, there's the answer. But they did really well. They said, no, let's gather data. So what they started doing is they would, whenever a bomber would come back, they would circle all of the different places that the bomber got hit by bullet holes or shrapnel. And they would circle those and they started collecting the data and they started analyzing all of the data of the most hit places on the bomber. After that, they formulated a theory, right, from the data. And they started going, hey, look at all of these places on the wings are getting hit, right? So here's the theory. Since the wings get hit so much, let's start reinforcing with plating the wings. So great. They got time. They gave themselves time. They got smart people in the room. They looked at data and they formulated a theory. Now here's the challenging part. And here's what I like to challenge you to do. Once you have that theory, now try to poke holes in your theory. Now try to figure out what could be wrong with your theory. In this story, what's amazing is someone had the courage to poke a hole in that theory. This could have changed the outcome of the war ultimately, but the person poked a hole in that theory and said, whoa. Let me just, try to poke a hole here. Let me play, devil's advocate, whatever. We're saying that all of these bullet holes are hitting the wings, right? What about the places where the bullet holes are not hitting? People are like, well, why would we worry about that? And he said, because those are the aircraft that aren't making it back. all that we've done is analyze the aircraft that have made it back. Well, when someone shoots a bullet hole in a wing, that aircraft is still making it home. So we don't need to reinforce armor plating on the wings because those aircrafts are making it. What we need to do is we need to put armor plating on the places that do not have bullet holes, because those places that don't have bullet holes, they're getting hit just as frequently, but those are the bombers that are crashing, or those are the bombers that are blowing up, and those are the bombers that are never making it back home. And all of a sudden, people realized that was the answer. But you have to realize they gave themselves the time. They gave themselves the headspace. They looked at data. They brought in smart people. They formulated a theory, and then they poked holes in that theory until they finally came up with the answer. As an entrepreneur, I guarantee you there's some stuff right now that's going on in your company that's problems that only you can solve. And you're highly unlikely someday just to be driving along, not thinking about the problem, and boom, solve it, right? These problems you need to tackle, right? That's why I said for me, I do this on Saturday mornings. I do this on Sunday mornings. I do it with the whiteboard. I'll call other people. I'll bring them in. I always look at data if I can. And then once I have a theory, I try to poke holes in those theories. I'm not perfect at this, but I've gotten better every year at problem solving, and it's made me a better entrepreneur. And my challenge to you is that you do that you give yourself the right headspace and the right time and the right focus, bring in the right people, have the right data, come up with various theories, and then don't just knee jerk, then poke holes in those theories. And if you do this, you're going to be a better entrepreneur. I'm Devin. This is a Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, and I really hope this helps.